police in this country are under assault. They're under constant criticism. They're doing an incredibly difficult job under incredibly difficult circumstances. Sometimes they're killed for the privilege of trying to serve their communities.
We appreciate their sacrifice for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so the opportunity for better police community connections gives us the opportunity to understand one another better. We need to bridge that gap so that when an incident occurs, when a police officer makes a use of force decision for an incident, okay, let me finish.
Okay.
Makes a decision based on how they perceive that circumstance at the time. How can we get in our communities to the place where we hit pause, we give the process a moment to work before we jump to the emotional.
But the process is always going to be that we've seen with grand juries that police officers do not get indicted by and large. Over 90% of the time. So that's one level of mistrust. And number two, if you have numbers that show that, for example, in New York City in 2012, more African Americans were stopped for stop and frisk that actually live in the city of New York. When you have those type of numbers in place and you say if people let the process play out and the process seems to be jaded against citizens who are seen as being guilty before they're seen as being innocent, it's very hard to bridge that gap.
Is there police misconduct? Absolutely. Is there misapplication or excessive use of the legal tool of stop and frisk? Absolutely. I mean, there's statistics.
Is stop and frisk even something that should be in play here in Pittsburgh in 2015?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No.
Have you seen?
I disagree because it's never applied properly between whites and blacks. There's an assumption of guilt when you start talking about how stop and frisk has been applied over the last several years here in the United States across the country.
Are you watching what's happening here in Pittsburgh? The amount of weapons, the amount of violence in this community, and you're calling upon the police to stop this violence. Stop and frisk is a very important legal tool properly applied. If it's applied by somebody with conscious bias, now it becomes a tool for misconduct. If it's applied,
and we know that conscious bias is out there amongst the majority of Americans, including police officers that walk around with loaded weapons.
And there's our opportunity.
There's the problem.
There's our opportunity for improving the quality of the training we provide to our officers, that they understand. As I see a young black person, I perceive threat. When I understand unconscious bias, I can hit pause. Well, wait a minute. Is it behavior or is it my own biases? Once you know of the existence of it, it helps to modulate
But if you have the legal leeway to use stop and frisk to go on your hunch, it seems to be a problem where that always gets satisfied with an interaction versus assuming innocent until proven guilty. Go ahead and jump in, Professor. I hear you over here.
You must hear me thinking very hard. I don't want to take the professorial attitude or the lawyer attitude, but stop and frisk is very, very necessary if you're a police officer. The misuse of it, which the chief is talking about, is something he's going to have to try to address. And you don't address it with the cop on the street. You address it with management.
Yes.
You address it with the chief, who then goes down to the deputy chief, who goes to the commander, who goes to the sergeant. You make him responsible for his people. You don't go after that one cop on the street and just work for him forever. This always works. If I stop 100 blacks, by God, one of them is going to have a gun and I'm going to get a black arrest. You've got to stop
But that seems problematic because now you have 99 innocent people that have to go through stop and frisk, and this is exactly the type of mistrust that communities of color have with police officers.
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I think there should be a certain level of discretion, and what's problematic about stop and frisk is that there are so many people who get caught up who are not committing crimes, who are not disobeying the law. And I think it adds to the distrust. I think law enforcement needs to realize that the communities they protect, if they have trust for and towards the police, it makes their job better. That they're working on the same team. And I think it's important for law enforcement, fraternal order police, that when they witness something that seems unjust, that they should address the issue as well. I mean, when we look at law enforcement, my ideal type of law enforcement are upholders of the law. And when that trust, that legitimacy is eroded, I think it causes a lot of problems. Stop and frisk is problematic for a lot of communities. And I think there could be better tactics to sort of, get at issues of crime. And I think one of those better tactics or one of those, methods could be building better relations with the community so you don't have to do that. But no, I think stop and frisk is extremely problematic.
Hang on, gentlemen. When we come back.